Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to What is Fabrizio Inking? I'm inking Horace H. Hoover today, but first I'm going to take a sip of my chunky coffee. Because who doesn't like coffee with tons of grain in it? Hey Dr. Mask, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. I am going to work on the alternate cover for issue 1 today, but I just figured I'd pop in for a little bit, like do a half hour of inking. I gotta get stuff ready for Friday, which is the big launch. That sounds loud. Let me know if the volumes are weird or anything. Hey Domino's, how's it going? Alrighty. So, I'm working on the alternate cover, making a cup of peachy green tea. Coffee is done for the day. You know what? That is the smart way to go. I try to do that, like, after work, to, like, cut the coffee out, but there's just something about sitting down and drawing with a cup of coffee. It is decaf, so, you know. But anyway... Yeah, so if nobody has seen just yet, Friday is the official launch of Horace H. Hoover, issue 3, along with my store. So you'll be able to pick up issues 1 through 3, bundles, or with some additional stuff and reprinting. Or if you just want to pick up issue 3 by itself, you can do that. I will have other things in the store eventually, but I didn't want to throw it all up at the same time. That way, as soon as a book is ordered, I can get that out right away. Alright, so... let's see where I left off. Did a chunk of the Smoke Man, a little bit of the background. Haven't done anything on the left. So I'm probably going to work on that. It is weird streaming during the week. I haven't done that in a long time. There's so many shows and live streams and art streams and so many things during the week around 7, 8, 9 o'clock that I tend to stay away from it. I could just sit and work on my couch while watching some old TV show. So I'm actually using a Winsor Newton 3, which is a little bigger than the Winsor Newton 2. The 2 was giving me an issue last time, so sometimes bigger works out, and it all depends on the point you get. Whatever brush maintains a point is the brush that wins. Dr. Mask, I saw that you were working on a game on Twitter. It looked really interesting. I don't know if you have any more info on that online, but I kind of zoomed into the image. It looked really cool. It just is not going to work. This music just keeps getting louder in my ears. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's really fun. I know I've talked about a game a bunch. Just because I had some computer games I was working on and bailed, and Maybe they work out. Maybe they work better as card games or board games or something. There's a lot of overlap of board games and card games and comics and role-playing and video games. This inking might be pretty slow. I think I mentioned last time that I actually ink pretty fast whenever I'm doing a live stream. Just because I don't want people to get bored, but I see other inkers and they go much slower than I do, and it makes me just want to just take it easy and be a little more deliberate sometimes with my lines. It's a fine line, no pun intended, between keeping the energy of the original drawing and being accurate to the original drawing. So I'm going to take my time a little more than I normally would with this. I was thinking about, I think Ben Soto mentioned Sandra Hope. She has some great inking videos, and man, she's like every single line is just dead on. And you know, and she might even take, it's almost like a test pass on a line. So she'll hover the brush and like almost do a pretend stroke, and then take the actual stroke. I really need to get the YouTube channel going so I can get these things out there. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, there's so much overlap between all of the genres, or not genres, but industries, we'll say, that, yeah, just even visually, it's interesting to see how that process happens. And what's involved, and trick tacking game, pitch spades with a bit of a twist. I kind of took all the things I liked about the trick tacking games and wrapped it in a Poe theme. Interesting. Like, I don't know that sort of game mechanic, but yeah, sometimes honestly the theme alone is enough to get people, me included, to buy a game. I have purchased a lot, not a lot, I've purchased a fair amount of games. I rarely play them, but man, the art and the accessories and everything are so well done sometimes that I just see it and I buy it or back it, most of the time backing it, but I don't get a chance to play it, especially when I'm in the process of making a comic. It's hard to find time to devote to playing a game like that. I think there was this one game called, what was the name of it? Shadows of Brimstone. And I must have backed this thing, I don't know how many years ago. I completely forgot about it. And then out of the blue, I got boxes and boxes for this game. I'm like, it was incredible. I'm like, I do not have time to like go through all of these things. So I ended up giving it to a friend of mine. he's more, inclined to sit down and read all the rules. So this alternate cover of issue 1 is more of like a redo than an alternate cover. I'm using a lot of the same elements, a little bit of the same composition to some degree, but I just wanted to just redo it. That first cover I did at this point was a long time ago, so I just wanted to keep it a little more drama, a little more energy, and honestly, you want to see where you've improved. So if you have the same cover to do over again and you compare it, you have a pretty good idea of where you've improved, where you haven't improved. Yeah, sounds like way too long to fulfill. I'm hoping to do it small and quick, hoping to do everything in the US, or I may order parts and put the games together myself. Oh, interesting. You're someone who can appreciate doing it all yourself. Yeah, I know. It's very satisfying, though. If you have the skills to do it, I definitely recommend it. And, one of those reasons is, back in the day, we'll say a long time ago, when I first got into game development, I tried to work with a bunch of people. I would come up with the game, I would take the lion's share of work, but find like one or two people to try and actually help complete the game. Because at the time, doing a computer game was a lot of work, but like I said, you find one or two people, it seems a little more doable. Well, anyway, failed attempt after failed attempt, because the people I was working with, they always dropped the ball. They never finished. We didn't see eye to eye. And honestly, I got so frustrated that I just said to myself, I'm only going to work on things that I can do myself, because I just couldn't handle one more failed project. When I was thinking about doing the Horace H. Hoover stuff, yeah, I could have looked for a writer and an artist and all that kind of stuff, but if you got the skills to do it yourself, 100% do it yourself. Some of those game ideas, to this day, I feel like really had merit too. That's the unfortunate part of it. I still have not all the assets. I still have some of the assets. I have a lot of the rules, some of the programming, so I have pieces of things done. Maybe I'll finish it, maybe I won't, but it's definitely a lesson that I learned. People rarely are as invested in something as you are. And again, it might not even be that. It could be you just don't see eye to eye on stuff. Let's be honest. If I pitched Horace H. Hoover to an artist or a writer, it's a different product in the end. If they want to do it at all. If I started looking around for people to draw Horace H. Hoover, a lot of people might be like, nah, you know what, there's no chance of success for that, so they're not even gonna do it for paid work. Because everything, you know, if you're doing paid pages for somebody writing, you may not think it's going to be successful, but it could be, and that possibility kind of gets you through it. But you know, I think a lot of people would look at Horace H. Hoover and go like, that's crazy, nobody's going to buy that comic. So anyway, I understand I was working with an artist I know on something, and deadline was February. So far, I don't have anything. Had to move on to another artist. Yeah, that's... Man, we have all been there, and it sucks. It's frustrating. The wasted time is the worst. And money, sometimes. I did add something back in issue... geez, what was it? Issue 2. I did post it on Twitter, but it was supposed to be in the original issue 2 and got cut. But it's a fake board game, which I thought was really funny. So that'll be a little Easter egg for somebody. And if you read the fine print on that board game, you learn something about the world of Horace, which I try not to do things that are just completely, you know, just for satire or spoof or something. You know, the goal really is to keep carving out the world through everything, whether it's ads or letters, pages, or something like that. Once you start hiring people, you become a project manager. You have to decide whether that is for you. Yep, that's exactly what happens. A lot of hand-wringing. Yeah, I'm not going to ink for too long, but I did want to show the pencils for issue 4. Just finished those the other night, and I'm very happy with them. Really excited to ink that, get that colored. I actually took 2 passes at it, 2 different covers. I think I might have showed it on stream, but I liked the first one, but it was one of those deals where it was supposed to be kind of an homage to that one X Factor cover with Apocalypse, and I think he's holding Jean Grey's hair in his hand, the Simonson one. And I'm like, oh, I kind of want to do like a little bit of an homage. And I strayed too far from that, and it didn't look like an homage anymore. It looked just like something similar. I'm like, oh, I didn't want to do that. So even though I really liked it, and it's not completely like the X Factor, it's close enough, but it's not close enough for an homage, and it's too close to be its own thing. It's a bummer though. It's a pretty nice. It's a nice piece. Have you thought about streaming to Twitter too? A lot of creators seem to be doing it now. Yeah, Twitter. I've actually set up a Twitch account. I think I'm definitely going to be broadening where I'm at. I wanted to get issue 3 out, and then from there sort of evaluate some things. But I definitely want to get on some other platforms. Even TikTok is, as much as people hate it, it's almost impossible to ignore sometimes with how quickly you can actually make progress on it. Instagram, like there are some platforms that are basically, for all intents and purposes, dead. Instagram is kind of a dead platform. You're not going to really get any major followers. You're not going to really, gain anything from it. YouTube is different, not quite dead. So you just eventually you gotta decide what platforms you're gonna be on and what's worth your while. So Twitch, Twitter, maybe TikTok. We'll see. I do not like that hand. Interesting. Yeah, I might have to actually go back and redo that hand. But I try to wait until the very end. When the entire page is done, if I still don't like the hand, then I give my permission. I give myself permission to fix it. If not, you just never make any headway. So I will be doing a live stream 8 o'clock on Friday. And that'll be my official launch stream. I'll probably do it for a half hour, an hour. It's going to be an open invite. So whoever wants to join and chat for a bit, feel free to pop on. Yeah, not a TikTok fan, but some people can blow up there. You have to go where the audience is. I know. It hurts to even say TikTok, to be completely honest. Yeah, so I'll probably hang out for, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour, go through the site, the store, and then, like I said, I'll just post the invite in chat, and if anybody wants to get on. And the good thing is, I mean, the books are printed, they're here, I have them. If you place an order Friday night, it'll probably go out Saturday morning, if not Monday morning for sure. I don't have a million copies, but I should have enough, because I do have Plastic City coming up. If I need to order more, it's not a problem, but I have some set aside just in case. Yeah, Instagram Meta. I do know a board game designer who used Facebook, Instagram as their main platform, made $1 million. Jeez. Yeah, I think it's hard to say, but I feel like if you got in at a certain time, you're good. But after that, like, cutoff date, it doesn't make a difference. You're most likely not gonna make any major headway on it unless you spend a ton of money on promotion and marketing. There's like just these little mini gold rushes where, you know, when you have a new platform, whether it's Care or whatever, but that initial point, people are looking for people to follow. And then once it gets saturated, they're looking to get rid of people. And they're looking, I'm like, okay, how can I minimize the people I'm following? You know, they're muting and blocking and, you know. So it just goes the other direction after a while. To be fair, it was a flower game and his audience is women 30 plus. That is the target market. Yeah, and the closer I get to finishing issue 4 and then issue 5, the more I start thinking about the next projects I'm doing. And I'm almost certain what I'll do is basically spend a year working on something and then releasing it. So whether it's, I'll probably bounce back and forth between Horace and some other projects I want to do. So, you know, 1 year I'll do a little graphic novel with Horace. The next I'll jump to some other project stuff that I wanted to do, and then back to Horace. And that way there's no cliffhangers or anything. It's a self-contained graphic novel. It'll be short though. I just feel like that might be the best for me. I really want to work on some other projects because it's really the way you grow as an artist. So, you know, if I just draw Horace H. Hoover, you kind of get stiff, and you start to, your shorthand becomes too shorthand and becomes a little too cartoony, and I'm just not a fan of that. So I want to jump from genre to genre. I have a sort of like a horror fantasy I want to do. I have like a sci-fi dystopian kind of thing. So I know that if I jump to one of those and then I come back to Horace, I'll just be that much better, and the book will be that much better. So I think that's the game plan right now. Hey Young, how's it going? Yang Zhan Zhao. And I always get your name wrong. I do apologize. I'm actually about to jump off here in a little bit. I just wanted to pop on real quick. I changed my setup, went back from PC to Mac and all that. Back into StreamYard instead of just manually streaming via OBS. but I figured I'd work on this in the meantime. It's been super busy. Yeah. It does feel like summers are generally pretty busy. I know you were traveling and you got your channel. I do catch up on those, but usually it's it's like on a long Saturday. I try to catch up on all the shows. When I'm at work, it's really tough to listen to YouTube shows. It's perfect for the weekends. How are you getting 2 cameras on StreamYard? So I go through OBS. And if you enable virtual camera, you can do all of your setup in OBS. You can have many cameras, audio, so you can do the entire setup. And virtual camera basically creates one camera instance that you can enable in StreamYard. Yeah, I jumped off of StreamYard for a while because I just got so annoyed of subscriptions. I have so many subscriptions. It's crazy. You know, Adobe is the smallest of my subscriptions, unfortunately. So I just one day I had it. I'm like, that's it. I'm getting off of Squarespace. I'm closing StreamYard. I'm canceling as much as I could. But the only thing obviously with StreamYard is you can't have more than one. You can't have somebody on your show, which is fine for me, generally. But for the launch, I wanted the ability to have people on if they wanted to jump on, so I had to jump back onto StreamYard. Just when I thought they were out. Just when I thought I was out. I just got a Godfather quote wrong. How did that happen? Gee. Next thing you know, it's take the gun, leave the cannoli. Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, OBS, if you're looking at streaming, definitely check it out. So, I don't know if I mentioned this at about Three Rivers, but I thought it was interesting. So it's a Comic-Con, obviously, and the focus is comics. It's not movies or anything like that. There were some crafts. You know, there was a soap person next to me and a crochet person next to me. But the majority was comics, with some deviation from that. I will say the thing that was pretty interesting to me was I had brought my large Horace H. Hoover resin sculpture, like the 16-inch one, that I've had for 4 years now. And it's, you know, the intent was really for marketing. I knew it would catch people's eye. Well, that was pure conjecture on my part. I hadn't done a convention, so I'm like, well, when the day comes, hopefully this thing will at least make people stop. And it absolutely did. It really, It was the difference between, I don't know, 5 people stopping at minimum, 5, 10 a day or something. I don't know what it was, but they would stop and look at the sculpture first and ask me about that. Wow, what is that? That's really cool. Did you sculpt this yourself? Whatever the conversation starter was. And then, you get it, and then I get to tell them about the comic, and I write, draw, ink, letter, etc., what the comic book's about. So it really works. Anybody out there selling a product, having a book with the cover printed is cool. Don't get me wrong, but people really responded well to having a 3D version of the character. It was nice, because I did spend a lot of money on that and a lot of time sculpting it. So I will be taking that to conventions as much as possible. Transporting it's a little tough, but I think I have a way to transport it without breaking it. So as of right now, I think I'm definitely going to be bringing it to Plastic City. Open source, I approve. I know, I wish everything was open source. I use GIMP, but to be fair, I'm no artist. Are you thinking of hitting up more cons next year? Definitely. I think what I'm going to do is maybe do 2, maybe 3 a year. And we're just going to pick different cities. For 2 reasons. One, it just, if there's a city we wanted to go to. And 2, I want to introduce new people. So if I do the Pittsburgh con every year, it's probably a lot of the same people are going to be coming. And I will do it, but I want to add new places. So I don't have any place in mind just yet. I think I'll play it by ear. It's no secret. I love New England. It's where me and my wife always vacation. So that's probably the first place we'll look, someplace in New England. And then kind of go from there. But I would say primarily the East Coast. It would be an extraordinary circumstance for me to drive across country with all my stuff. I could ship it, some of it, I've never done that before, so I don't know how feasible that is. Like shipping everything for a convention seems daunting to me, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. That sculpture is amazing. Thank you, Dr. Mask. Yeah, trust me, it's like, it is my prized possession. I'm really glad people like it as much as I did, because, I was doing that before I had shown anybody anything about Horace H. Hoover, so it was a lot of investment for potentially no payoff. Hey, Captain Goodnight, how's it going? A cool promotional item for cons might be a secret decoder ring for Slurp's dialogue. That would be interesting. I know I talked about doing a digital one, but like a practical one would be really cool. I don't know how I would do that. I'd have to think about that, though. John's Longbox, how's it going? Yeah, I'm only going to be doing this for a few more minutes, but... Thanks everybody popping in. This was sort of not quite impromptu, but not my usual time, and I just wanted to make sure the setup was good for Friday. And oh yeah, I wanted to show the cover to issue 4. That's what I was going to do. I'll do that in a few minutes. What about comics? What have I been reading? I read the new Wolf and Batsy stuff. I think I posted that on Twitter. It's a lot of fun. There's a few scenes that really made me like laugh out loud that are pretty classic. That was fun. Okay, so this is the first time I've heard of or seen this comic. I was at Baltimore Comic-Con, and Ted Sikora, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I was talking with him for a few minutes, and he came over. He was looking at Horace H. Hoover, and we chatted. It was right at the end of the convention. And seemed like a nice guy, and he bought issues 1 and 2, and then that was it. Well, I saw him at Three Rivers, and we actually got a chance to talk for a while. So he has a bunch of books. The imprint's called Hero Tomorrow, and I bought a bunch. He gave me a great deal, but they looked incredible. And it's one of those deals where I saw it and I said, I am almost 100% positive I'm going to love these books. But you don't quite know until you dig into it, so I tried to temper my expectations a little bit. Well, they were fantastic. They were legitimately some of the funnest things I've read in a long time. The art was great. So the book that I just started was Apama, and it would be better if he explained it, but it really has it's fun, it's clever, the writing's great, the art, I thought the art was really good. So yeah, check out Hero Tomorrow Comics. Highly, highly recommend it. And I haven't even got into half of the stuff. So it's fun when you find something you've never heard of. It wasn't a crowdfunder, so it was just a complete surprise. So good. It's got an old school feel, art and story, but not in a new way. I know everybody always says that, but yeah, it's got sort of an old school vibe, but it doesn't remind me of anything or any other character. Really cool. I found some Dakota rings on Alibaba. Really? I'm gonna have to check that out. Drink more Ovaltine. If you know Johnny C from Indie Comics Relay, he probably have lots of tips on traveling for cons. He's a road warrior. Yeah, I bet. That is a skill set. So my day job is doing applications and games for trade shows, but the trade shows are totally very, very different. They're for pharmaceutical companies, so it really like crazy high-end stuff. So doing these conventions, it was a bit of a shock being on the other side of the table, because I guess, I don't know, just being on the other side of the table, you get a totally different perspective, obviously, even though you might have certain expectations or perceived expectations from going to conventions. But man, being on the other side really it's fun. I really enjoy meeting new people and talking to them in person. I can see if you don't like doing that, it's probably torture for some people, but yeah, I think it's fun. This brush is killing me. Alrighty, I think I'm good on this. Made some progress. Not a ton, but I did want to show issue 4 cover. 1 second. My family thinks I'm weird because I will spend most of the con hanging with creators and just chatting. We appreciate it, honestly. As opposed to looking at the same people just walk around and like getting eye contact and saying hello. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And like I said, it's fun to me meeting new people and potentially seeing them at other cons. And hey, how you been? There's a few people that I did recognize from over a year ago at a different convention entirely. So that's always cool. Yeah, so this is the cover of issue 4. The resolution of the ongoing story. I'm very happy with it. And I very intentionally had to keep this open because that's that new banner part of the design I have now. So it's really important that I don't draw buildings and trees and all of that. It's great for an interior shop, but that's one thing that I've really come to realize, that for covers, you really want to let some stuff breathe. So I think moving forward, I'm going to do that a lot more after the mini, of course. A digital gaming kiosk for HHH might help get attention at a Comic-Con. Digital gaming kiosk for HH might... Yeah, that's interesting. I know I've talked about potentially doing a game because I program. It's a little bit of a hard sell just because, you know, there's not that many people that read the comic. I don't know if anybody would buy the game. You know, I go back and forth with it. Like, we all have certain skills. We have a certain set of skills. We have certain skills that we can leverage whenever we're doing something creative. And for me, it does seem like, you know, I should leverage the game development part of it, or the app development part. But I just think it probably behooves me to finish up the comics first, and then once I have the mini done, then, you know, I can push it, I can mark it, I can do a game or whatever the case may be after I do the 5 issues. Because if not, it kind of drags on a little too long. Interest kind of wanes. Meaning the same type of game as you make for your day job. Yeah. It would be cool though. I mean, I can imagine a table with comics and then like the resin model and then a monitor with a game. That could be pretty cool. I mean, if the resin model got people's attention, I think an actual game at a Comic-Con would be pretty impressive. I think people would stop. I've programmed with like the old school controllers, so I could hook that up. It's a good idea, Captain Goodnight. Always with the good ideas. Alrighty. Well, thanks everybody for popping in. I really appreciate it. On Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. I will be sending out a newsletter with a discount code to anybody that's subscribed to my Substack. That should go out tomorrow sometime. And, you know, hopefully you join me for the launch. If not, catch it on a replay. And make sure you go to HoraceHoover.com this weekend. If you didn't get a discount code, get into contact with me, and I'll get that to you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good night.